I'm not going to use a camera for this one. I'm just going to show off this game, and that is Receiver 2. For those that do not know, and those that are not very well, knowledgeable in this game, Receiver is a series of very unique, very deeply philosophical games into the complex handling of firearms, and the series was made based off of a game jam that was done within a week for the first game. Then they recently now just made a sequel for this game. If you're interested, I played Receiver 1, and it's a really cool game, and they did a lot of cool things to Receiver 2 that makes this game very unique. But I'm also here to show off some of the more unique things for beginners, because some people probably don't know everything about this game, especially with how recent it is. And I'm going to show off some things that are rather important. I'm going to keep the help up just to make sure it's important. Now, let's start with the first thing they changed from Receiver 1 to Receiver 2, and that's how they changed holstering. You have to hold tab or back quote, and if you don't, you can accidentally pull the trigger and give yourself a good old case of Glock leg, which is not a fun time at all. This is the Glock 17. It has the fully automatic mod added to it as well, and it's currently on, so I'm going to press V to turn that off. You can tell by the pin, if it's circular like this, it's off, and if it's on like that, if you see the triangle pin, it's on. You want to leave it off for the most part, unless you're panic firing into drones. So what I did there was I basically pressed and hold tab, put the gun down, then pull out the clip, press Z to put all my bullets into it, press and hold tab again to pull out my gun, press Z to then put the clip into said gun, press hold T and R to check if there's even a one to be chambered. It's not, so I'm going to click R to then chamber around, and that's how I get my gun ready. On top of that, Receiver 2 has also added a bunch of new mechanics. The first thing being that the gun can jam. This is thanks to the fact that the lore behind Receiver takes place in two separate realities. Reality A, which is the reality we're in, and Reality B, which is affected by the mind kill, which is what created this reality for the most part, to my knowledge. And as a result of that, the guns in this reality also have faced some degradation and some effects to their durability and overall reliability. For one thing, the mind kill that is a part of the lore has also affected the capacity and the capacity of the mags. So in turn, you'll find mags with crossouts, and for revolvers you'll see a full cylinder completely welded off with an X. That's to show you that the mind kill has affected the weapon or clip in a way that prevents you from putting in more ammo than you're able to. These are balloons. This is another thing about Receiver 2 that's different from Receiver 1. Balloons. These are lined up in a specific fashion that you get into a position to shoot them. I need to get it from the other side. And by popping them, you get extra bullets. Basically, it's a nice little thing that you could try out your aim with. And it's to give you not only a little thing to practice your aim with, but also the fact that not only does it let you practice your aim, but you get extra bullets for doing so. A little hard, there we go. Then we pull our mag and put the new bullets that I received from those balloons in. You also don't need to pop them with the gun. If they're with you on ground level, they can be popped from just walking into them. Oh, that's another thing, falling from heights. You will get injured a lot in this game from so many dumb things. The first thing you can get injured from is heights. Heights do injure you in the first game, but they usually just outright kill you. In this game, they will injure you, and they won't outright kill you. The next thing about that Glock leg, as I said, what happens if you unholster it unsafely? You get Glock legged. And you're only allowed 2 accidents of this to happen. Unfortunately, or fortunately in this case, the gun failed to the gun failed to feed. So in that case, if you're struggling with that situation, what you do is you press Z to smack the mag, and you rack it again. And now it should work again. And as for the fact of shooting yourself in the leg, you're only allowed to shoot yourself in the leg twice in any given run, and after that it is considered a death. It doesn't matter how long or how much time has passed in between each shot, it is considered a death no matter what. So it is recommended to make sure your gun is in a safe position if you're doing quick holstering, or you have to be diligent in holstering your gun carefully. Another thing that many people probably don't know about is there's another way you can kill yourself with your gun. This is, by the way, this I think is the Colt M1911. Yeah. It has a safety switch, and you have to pull the hammer, and now it's able to fire. But another way you can kill yourself. Oh, I was going to demonstrate it. Really? Oh, there's no bullet in the chamber. There we go. Another way you can kill yourself. You can shoot yourself like that. Oh, for Christ's sake, why do I keep having these problems? Come on, stop being dumb. You can shoot yourself like that. A lot of people don't know that, actually. And I'm actually going to show you something really interesting about that. It says, always keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target. You can actually shoot yourself by accident and be a complete retard about that. Or, if you want to be more educated about the phrasing, pretty much being complete and utter idiot with a gun. You can effectively shoot yourself if you're jumping around pulling the trigger haplessly. And in fact, that's actually something... And something's interesting about that is that if you do that, you'll actually get a separate note. And I'll demonstrate it here. I think it's in the help. You get an extra note in the help. You get the trigger discipline note. And this is one of the rarer notes because to get this you have to literally do what I did. You have to jump around like an idiot and shoot the gun without aiming. And basically the game is shunning you about the fact that you did just that. Always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot. It should be outside the trigger guard, resting along the frame of the firearm, pointing straight forwards. If you ever see somebody with their finger inside the trigger guard and they're not actively aiming at the target, move far away. New holes are likely to start randomly appearing in nearby objects, and it's best if that set of objects does not include your face. And it goes on and on and on to basically explain that it's not a wise decision to be near someone like that. Also, another fun fact is the second paragraph. It says something really interesting. I'm going to read it. If you're involved in any kind of entertainment that portrays firearms, like YouTube, which I'm doing right now, make sure to model this behavior. Otherwise, receivers in the audience will be worrying about everyone's safety. They're basically poking fun at the fact that if you're basically showing this on the internet, they will say that the receivers in the audience watching you are basically going to be worried about your safety and those around you, because you're not wielding a firearm carefully. That's the thing I wanted to show, because it's actually a really rare message that you only get if you do something like that. Another thing they did, and this is a beginner's tip just for those that... If you're not wanting to go in blind and you want to be able to succeed at this game, I have to tell you this, even though it is considered a spoiler, and that is the tapes. Now, Receiver 1 doesn't actually have heavy motifs. It has philosophical motifs, but nothing heavy on the mind. Receiver 2 is a completely different story. It actually has heavy motifs of suicide, which is not a topic to be taken lightly. And in such heavy weight, we also have threat echoes. Basically, to explain, reality A had to deal with the mind kill, which created reality B, but in reality A, there's something known as the threat, which basically induces suicide through the modern media. And in some of the tapes you pick up can be threat echoes. And I'm just going to show off one right here. It's not... I recommend if you are not the kind of guy that is very like great-minded, or like, I'm not saying great-minded, but I'm saying if you're someone who does not like dark motifs, then I will tell you right now that this is one of the very dark motifs of Receiver 2.
Every single day is the worst day of my life. It just keeps getting worse and worse. Every day, I step over junkies and human waste on my way to my third job, just to...
Now you're probably wondering what's the... I'm not going to play the full thing because of the fact that it's just quite depressing. But the reason these threat echoes are very bad for those that are new to the game is they are in the tapes. And if you pick one up, you can actually have a bad time, because once these tapes are done, the threat will take control of you and turn the gun on yourself, killing you if the gun is loaded. So what you have to do is you have to pay attention to the tone of the tapes you pick up, or you will suffer with that problem. Alternatively, if you don't want these in here, there is a setting in the bottom right here to turn threat echo tapes off if you don't want to deal with them. I'm just leaving it here because it is one of those features that not everyone knows about. It is one of the deeper spoilers of the game, and I'm sorry for spoiling it for you if you wanted to keep it completely and totally like incognito on what is in this game. But if you're looking at this video, by this point you probably aren't really caring much for spoilers in the first place. But threat echoes are pretty bad because they're mixed in with all the regular tapes and there's no way to tell a difference. You can shoot the tape to count it as collected, but you can turn them off in the settings if you don't want to deal with them altogether, while still learning about the lore. But another thing to note is if you actually do detect the tone of the tape, and you actually do like completely remove every functional ability to fire the firearm before the tape finishes, you're given a threat recovery tape. And this tape basically shows what happened to the person in question and how they managed to recover from their depression. It's a really good thing. But yeah, pay attention to the tones, and if you hear a dark tone that has any hint of suicide, immediately unload your gun with no hesitation. To do that on the revolver, you press F, hold your mouse button, let go of F to unhammer it, and press E, and pretty much repeatedly tap V to pretty much, I think it's like V or Z, to completely and utterly remove all bullets from the mag. For a handgun, you just double tap E and rack the slide once to remove the bullet. You double tap E to quick eject it, and that's how you get all bullets out of your handgun within a matter of moments. It is not that hard. And I'm also going to press and hold L to restart, because there's also a lot of other mechanics that this game has, and that is bullet trajectory. Bullets actually do follow trajectory, and I will this is the Magnum, by the way. This operates a little different than a handgun. Like I said before, you see the X in the cylinder? That is welded there, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have to work around it and just pay attention to the direction at which your cylinder spins. What I like to do is I like to keep cocking my hammer of the revolver until I'm on the X. Oh, nope. Like that, and then cock it once more, and that maximizes the amount of bullets I can physically hold in the revolver whilst dealing with such a debilitating effect of it. Or more or less an annoying one at that. Now how revolvers work is if you holster it uncarefully with the hammer non-cocked like this, you won't get shot, you won't get Glock leg, but if you do it whilst the thing is cocked, you will. So that is not good. But another mechanic of this is if the hammer isn't pulled down, there's some delay between your shots. If the hammer is pulled down, there is no delay and the bullet is fired as soon as you click the button. That's the real difference on the hammer. But basically it boils down to there's a lot of cool mechanics. Now let's talk about some of the enemies. There's a few enemies in the game, and I'm going to digress them. There are panning turrets, rotating turrets, drones, which are the fun taser bots. Don't worry if you are if you played Receiver 1, they have been nerfed considerably. Running into walls with them pretty much nearly breaks them almost all the time, and one good well-placed shot will put them down for good. Unlike the complete bullet sponge BS that they were in Receiver 1, where they could basically chase after you and you could unload your entire clip into them. Here, they've been nerfed, or I would otherwise put it, considerably adjusted. But there's another mechanic in Receiver, and it's actually a really not so good turret to demonstrate this, but I might as well demonstrate the structures of the turret. There is a few points to hit the turret. The base, which basically houses the battery. The orange box on the back, if you shoot that, will stop it from firing. However, if it can have still a bullet loaded in its chamber, which means it can still fire one bullet after you destroy that orange box. My opinion to you, if you can do it, is shoot the light out. That light right there, shooting it out instantly removes the turret and removes it from being functional. Another mechanic they added in Receiver 2 is the ability to hack turrets and drones. You press and hold G. You don't press and hold it all the way like this, no. You have to repeatedly tap it lightly and keep it within the target area. Now this is obviously a disabled turret, so it's much easier to hack, but an active one will have a red area, and if you go past the white zone, the white area you're supposed to keep the cursor in, and you touch that marker on the red bar, it will automatically alert the turret to your position. It'll turn around and start shooting at you. Another thing it will also do is it will also slowly detect you hacking it. That is basically the red bar on the turret when it's being hacked, which I'll show probably a little later in this vid, will start to fill up, and that indicates the turret's awareness of you hacking it. And it is not fun, because if it notices you're hacking it, it will do just that. It'll turn around and shoot you, because it's a turret. Another enemy that's new to this game is cameras. There's ceiling turrets, and I hear that there's security cameras that can alert drones too, but I haven't seen them yet. They're pretty far along, and you have to get pretty much to like the 3rd tier of the game. That's another thing, ranking. When you pick up 5 tapes, you rank up, and if you die or exit the game, you rank down. You have to get to the final rank to basically beat the game. So it's not exactly an easy cakewalk, because death is not treated very nicely, but you can still pick up the tapes and get whatever you want from them. Like, you can still, like, grab the tapes and it'll keep log of all the tapes you've collected, so all the collectibles are kept. And as you rank up, you also get new firearms. Even going to ranks you've been to before can get you new firearms too. But you will have to go to new ranks to pick up certain firearms. Now for the tapes. Another bonus they've added to them is now you notice they hum. And this is done to make it easier to see where they're at. They hum around your direction to let you know exactly where they're at, so you can find them a little easier. Now, as I said before, make sure you have the gun unloaded, or pay attention to the tone of the tape if you don't, before picking it up, unless you have the threat echoes turned off in the settings.
You have seen the signs.
This is an informational one, so we're safe.
The gradual creeping, decay.
You'll know when it's one of those tapes. They have a very unique tone.
Something is wrong with the media and the people around you.
They don't usually give them out that frivolously, but that's because we're just on the 2nd rank.
This is why you are ready to become a receiver. You have been issued a series of audio cassette tapes that are part of our system. They also put the tapes under the turrets, and that can pose a problem if you get a threat echo when you're trying to, like, hack a turret. By continually listening
what I recommend you do is you make sure your gun is unloaded before you actually start hacking a turret with a tape under it, so when you accidentally pick it up, you don't have to deal with that.
Once you have absorbed these tapes, you will have taken the first step towards awakening your true self.
This is just lore.
The media is a threat. We have a technique to help. We use tapes as part of this technique.
They use these tapes as part of a technique known as mind tech. It's how they counter the mind kill. Oh.
The world of the mind stretches far to the horizon.
Yeah.
In this
These are
space,
just more
it's
informational
tempting
tapes.
to dwell
You'll
in the
know
past
the
or
difference, as I've shown in
explore
the
possible futures.
The difference between threat echoes and these is
Attention
much
flits
different,
from
as I've shown
one
before.
distant
Also, there's a
idea
balloon.
to the next, visiting 100 unlikely
You
scenarios.
have to remove the spent
spreading
casings
thinner
from my revolver.
and thinner. This is the unfocused mind. In contrast, sharp
I'm looking
focus
for
is
one.
always concentrated on the present moment. What action do you have to take
Let's
right
see.
now?
I'm gonna do one good run, see
Each
if I can
new
do it.
moment
Oh god.
necessitating the next thought and action.
Turrets are not gonna be
in a
that hard,
correct
it's just to get you in
sequence.
really cheap positions. That's one of them right there. I shoot the out. Can I shoot it? It's a little dicey, it's a little far. As you notice, it doesn't see you automatically. Another thing to note is don't shine your flashlight. The flashlight has been adjusted as well. Enemies can see you further away if you shine the flashlight on them. So you have to not keep the flashlight on all the time. That's another difference between Receiver 1 and Receiver 2. Whereas Receiver 1 you can keep the flashlight on all the time, enemies will actually see you from further away because you're shining a light at them. And nah, didn't get him. There we go. I'm gonna unload my gun. Might as well take the time to unload the spent casings and pick up that tape.
What is the fundamental
If
characteristic?
we're lucky, we might be able to see a threat echo,
of
and I can
balance?
show you exactly what it's
Stone,
like. It's not
perfectly
pleasant.
balanced, doesn't move. It is this precarious lack of motion, but with so much potential, that's remarkable.
See, there's a tape right under this one.
To
That's why I
balance
recommend
the
you
mind,
keep your gun
one
unloaded,
needs
because
to
see, I picked it
bring
up while
ideas
happening.
and feelings into alignment, where they are.
And if you have
neither
multiple tapes picked
random
up that need to be
nor
played,
stagnant,
it'll say one tape queued up
equally
in there.
outward
It'll say the tape's
and
queued.
inward.
So once
Neither
it's done,
entirely
once this one's
positive
done, it'll
nor
play the next
negative. Within this
I'm just walking
narrow
around waiting for
space
the
of
tapes to
calmness
finish.
lies the mind's potential. Failure to find balance results in a chain reaction of cascading thoughts and feelings, like a stone falling out of place, running into the next with no end and no control. We live in a world in which hostile thoughts and ideas
queued
are
up the next one?
constantly present in the media, pressing in on our consciousness. Events are often
there's the last
also
one.
outside of our control, but not outside of control. Others use these concepts and events to create this anxiety. Thoughts flow in a sequence, and by inserting harmful media into your life, your thoughts can be hijacked. Once you are behaving in a reactive state, you will spread these contaminated ideas to others, allowing them to degrade more people. Practice basic media safety.
I'm letting this play.
Control your
'cause it's
information
just
environment.
lore.
Act, don't react.
So, yeah, that's that. Another part of lore is floppy disks. There's two colors, black and red. Black floppy disks are the common brand you find all around the world, and they basically pinpoint, these are notes that pinpoint what happened to other receivers amidst this advent and before. Red ones are secret notes that basically are found in difficult to pick up locations and can teach you neat little tricks about how to do this and how to do that in the game. Oh, I thought that was a tape for a second. Nah. Is that a tape? No. Looked like one. Anyways, I'm gonna unload my gun. Or reload it anyways. But yeah, threat echoes are bad, but you can turn them off in the settings. And trigger discipline, the trigger discipline note is a rare note to get because you have to be an idiot with the gun. You have to jump around firing it, and you'll get it that way. It's one of the rare things I want to show because no one gets it. It's one of those things that I guess still a little too new for people to find out about yet. I found it out because I was just jerking around with the guns. Oh, two turrets. Let's see, I'm going to take this one out first, and that's a good shot. I'd call that good myself. Let's try hacking. I'm going to leave the gun. I'll fill it up in case if this goes south. I'm just waiting for a good opportunity to get behind it. This is how you hack a turret when it's active. Now you see the difference? There's a little red line right there. If you go past and hit that red mark, it'll detect you, and you need to stay within that range. And it takes a little longer because the turret's active. The red gate will also fill up, and as I said before, and if it fills up all the way before you're done hacking, it will count as a fail, and it'll detect you. And there's one of those red tapes I was talking about. They're hidden in little difficult little like find spots, so make sure you look around a little bit because they're like in little hidey spots, those red ones. Oh, the last tape's still around. I think it's underneath the turret, if I had to guess. No, it's not there. Is it? No, it's on the box next to it. What I recommend you do, if it's your last tape, before you pick up the last tape, unload your gun, because you're pretty much done after that. So just unload your gun, and you'll unload your gun, make sure it can't fire, and pick up the last tape. I was doing that with the last tape just out of safety.
To aim a firearm correctly, you must be
we're
familiar
good.
with the sight picture, how the sights look when they are lined up correctly. Handgun sights
we just gotta wait for it to
always
finish.
work in the same way. You line up the front sight in the middle of the gap in the rear sight, and make sure the top of the front sight is level with the top of the rear sight. If zeroed correctly, the bullet should hit right at the top of the front sight at the zero distance, usually around 15 yards. For maximum accuracy, you should focus on your front sight, even though it makes the target look blurry. There's no point shooting at a crisp target if you can't tell if your sights are lined up.
True that. And we ranked up to Sleeper. Ranks in this game, you have to get through all 5 ranks. And it's pretty tricky because as you go up higher and higher, the game gets more and more harder, introducing more things. Another thing I didn't also talk about is you get really high up, you can encounter a whole new kind of turret known as sleeper turrets. Those are turrets that don't move, which make them much harder to see, and only turn on until you get near them. Also, another fun little fact is, we're in a little bit of an arcade room, and we have arcade machines that show off not only overgrowth, but another arcade machine that's quite peculiar, Polybius. Only those that actually know of creepypastas know of this one. It's quite a mischievous little case. Quite a mischievous little game, but of course in a reality that's based on mental thought, of course it would exist. But it's a nice nod to a very, very unique creepypasta, to say the least. That's a really cool nod to those that know it. You can turn on lights and interact with doors, and even the elevators in that like room that I was like going by, you can actually click the button and call the elevator to go up and down. I'm just gonna keep going until I die, hopefully being able to show off everything I can show. You also should check the condition of my weapon. That's another thing you should do before you start. Make sure your weapon can fire. It is a different kind of handgun. You can actually press the menu button to see what it is. It's the Colt Detective Special, and it rotates clockwise. The other one rotates counterclockwise. You have to pay attention to that. There's 2 revolvers, to my knowledge. Oh, I forgot I was on the dead one. See what I mean? You gotta pay attention to those things. It makes it a little hard to fire when you don't. Did I disable it? No, I hit the barrel. Nope! 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 This is why you double tap. This is why you can never gamble. You can never gamble on them things. And just showing off, yep, if you die, you're demoted. You also do not... Also, if you think about leaving, You will revert your progress to the previous rank. Yes, you will also lose your progress if you revert to the prior rank. So, that's another thing to note. This is the Beretta, I think, isn't it? Yeah, it's the Beretta. The Beretta has a 15-shot capacity, and whilst it doesn't face any issues with stovepipe and all that, it can face issues with the mag. If you notice a mag fails to feed even as tapping it as often as you would, it might be a wise decision to get a new mag, because they're pretty much known to have bad... I forgot to pull the safety. So wait a second, what was going on there? I was bamboozled for a moment. My gun was not working as intended. Also, you can go near the, oh, Caesars. Sorry. You can go near any of the arcade cabinets and press G to break it. I don't know why. I don't know the purpose of why. You also find ammo boxes. I don't know why the purpose you do that. I don't like doing that because it makes me feel bad. Also, if Wolfire ever do make an arcade cabinet of their games, I would gladly see if it's in an arcade, if one was near me and we weren't in a pandemic at this concurrent time. You know. That'd be nice. Anyways, moving on. And by pandemic, I think we all know at the time of this vid, we have a very unique virus going around. So to those I say, self-quarantine. I don't care what your reasons are. Social distancing is important to keeping ourselves safe from such things. Just saying. Because I hear a lot on the news, and I do not usually like to rant about that, and I'll keep it brief, but I hear a lot about the news about those that don't, and I'll say it right now, do it. But matters on, we have another tape. Let's see where it's at. Where is that? Where do we have it? Oh, there it is.
Cooper's fourth rule of gun safety is to know your target and what is beyond it.
Mm-hmm.
Bullets can penetrate a lot farther than most people think.
You will...
How many interior sheetrock walls do you think a typical 9mm
You're gonna get
bullet
jammed
will
with a
go
bunch of
through?
gun discipline. Tell you that right now.
2? More like 20. In a typical gunfight, more shots miss than hit, but all bullets end up somewhere. Unless you live alone in a rural area, there is no pistol or rifle that won't put your family and neighbors at risk. Even hollow point rounds often miss or fail to explode. The safest choice for an effective internal home defense weapon in a populated area is a pump-action shotgun loaded with
I don't swear very
small
often, but that one
buckshot
caught me off
or
guard.
large birdshot.
Man. But as I was saying, yeah. Also, I was going to say something about the Beretta's clip. Yeah, the Beretta's malfunction is that it suffers from the ability to struggle racking the bullet into the chamber. If you're noticing that a lot, if you look at the notes, it tells you that it's because of the magazine. So it might be a wise endeavor to swap out to a different magazine if your mag is doing it. And it's not, like, if you're noticing a lot of common... Like, if you're noticing your mag isn't exactly feeding into the chamber, swap out the mag to a new one once you find one and see if you fare any better. But, yeah. The Beretta won't face stovepipe as often, but it will face failure to feed, which is an annoying one to fix. So just smack your mag and rack it. And if you can't, and you're getting sick of it, look for a different magazine that is less likely to malfunction. Because as it states in the Beretta reports with this gun, third-party mags malfunction with that a lot more than they should. Where's the tape? More bullets. Yay. Where did the tape go? This is a case of where you should pay attention to the hymn. Them tapes are around here somewhere. The only problem with it is well, yes, it does make it noticeably clear that you're near one. It doesn't exactly make it too noticeably clear on exactly where it's at. Like, there's no, like, visual indicator to tell you, like in the original, at least the tapes, like, had, like, some sort of illumination. This one don't have that. You pretty much have to go basically off of sound alone, for the most part. Which makes it a little hard to find them. Nope. Nope. Down lower. Nope. Where the heck is this tape? But you start to see my problem. It's not that it sounds bad, it's just... there's no visual cue of any kind to let you know. I'm probably looking like an idiot, and it's probably a lot easier to find it than I am making it out to be. Oh, there it is, see? There's no visual indicator, none. You just have to go off the hymn.
Experiences are feelings connected to events.
Let's see how well I do in this one.
If an event that creates negative feelings happens often enough, or is especially intense, can create a phobic reaction.
Nyan cat mode.
Even after distancing oneself from these events, phobic elements can
also
persist.
both have power, so
Thoughts
it can knock the
from
turret down if you shoot these enough
like
times.
water flowing down a river. And like water flowing, these thoughts can carve through stone, given enough time. Trauma is like a boulder in the river, and over time, a correct sequence of thoughts can cut and shape it, eventually allowing the thoughts to pass safely and smoothly around them.
I'm just trying to play through more of it, seeing maybe I might get lucky to be able to show it off. I don't know, it's quite rare. As for how rare the incident of you getting a threat echo is, I would argue it's once in every 2 to 3 games. It's not super common. It's more of like it's on the borderline of rare and uncommon. You will get it maybe if you're unlucky, but it's usually like basically 2 out of 3 games you won't get it. Is from my experience anyways. Also, if you hack a turret when it's still active, I noticed you get quite a lot of bullets from them. I don't know if you get more than if you didn't, but I do notice you get quite a lot. Keeping extra mags is also useful because you do have a maximum carrying capacity of bullets in this game, and carrying extra mags can let you carry more bullets with you than you normally would be able to. This is especially useful for guns that have low capacities like the Colt M1 which is actually the OG gun, because it's the first gun that was in Receiver 1, and the only gun in that game before they had the patch that introduced the revolver and the Glock. But before then, that's all you got. Heck, you didn't even have the flashlight, you just had that. Which was okay. I think the biggest thing they did that makes this game better is that they made it so that way the firearms mechanics plays a lot more into the gameplay. That the gun kind of jams, it has to deal with gun-based effects throughout the game, rather than having like the startup set of your gun where, like in Receiver 1, it's like the startup set of your gun is just completely random, and you just kind of had to set your gun up to make sure it can fire, and that was it. And any like error at that point was pretty much just user error in a nutshell. There it is.
The most important virtue of a receiver is mental resilience, and
just going through the game as I do.
To build resilience is to practice rebounding from adversity.
Bullets will go through certain things. I don't know if there's one of them. I think it is. But, yep. See? Right there. Bullets are physically rendered in trajectory and will go through things. So you have to be careful of that. I've had it where they go through things and just end up killing me as a result. I might be able to just bum rush this one. To run, you can either repeatedly tap W, which is what I'm doing right here, which almost didn't work, but my luck is with me on this one. Now this one's a little harder to hack because it's a much more area, and it has a much less like range for error. Let me see if I can do it. I'm pretty skilled at this. I still got it. But yeah, they can also range on that level of being very hard to hack.
When explorers die of dehydration, their water bottles are usually not empty. They were saving their resources for later, when it got really bad. When the threat kills people by suicide, it usually turns out that they never asked their family or friends for help. They were saving that for later, when it got really bad. If you are under attack by the threat, ask for help now. There is no later.
I wasn't kidding when the game had a heavier motif of it, of suicide. It's quite heavy, and even the game when it starts up gives you that disclaimer because of it's much heavier on this motif. Then, whereas the first one's philosophical, this one has a heavy motif of it, simply because of the lore. Another cool mechanic, as I've said before, with the bullet physics that is also shown, bullets will ricochet. This also will apply if you shoot things too closely, they can ricochet and hit you and thus kill you. So don't shoot things too up close. Glass is another thing that's a whole new thing that I'm going to be able to probably show off. If I can't, I'll show it off and then end it off, because it is a mechanic. Where is that tape?
Cooper's second rule of
What's
gun
that?
safety is to never point the gun at something you are not willing to destroy. Now, this
I'm going to go back up
seems
to rank
obvious,
2.
but is easy to forget in the
And we're
moment.
now going to proceed
If you are training at the range and a burning hot shell casing
to
falls
show
down your
off
shirt,
another thing.
are you prepared to
and
keep
more
the gun
things.
pointed at the target? Yeah, if the gun
You can also turn off
malfunctions,
lights,
are you
and you can also
sure
shoot
you
them
won't
out.
sideways to get a better look at what's wrong? What if you were preparing to take it apart for routine maintenance? Are you still paying attention to which way the barrel is pointing? Many accidents take place while cleaning guns. That's often when we let our guard down.
If you hold the gun for too long, your guy can shake a little bit. But I'm also going to show off another thing known as glass. Glass also has a whole new thing in this game. It's a whole new mechanic. Oh, I get the Glock. Beautiful. I show off the full auto. Where's a good place where glass can be to show that off? Because I've so far been getting quite unlucky about that one. Despite my luck in showing off everything else, I've been getting quite unlucky with it. I'm just going to hack this one. Give me a minute. I can get it. And that's that. Some bullets from hacking it. There's the tape.
Together, we have laid the foundation. You
I have to
have
pick up
shown
the
great
tapes.
potential, but
Nope.
the potential is yet to be realized. We
Mean.
have sent the message. You hear it. There is an insidious force moving through your media,
Gotcha.
weakening the mind and causing widespread dysfunction.
Disclaiming how the threat
We
is
call
in
this
reality
the threat.
A.
We have developed a technique called mind tech to combat this threat. A new set of tapes has been issued to train and
here?
prepare you.
I'm looking for glass, but I can't seem to find any. Which is odd because it's actually quite a common resource. I mean, I'm still looking. I'll keep looking. And heck, I'm going to keep playing this game because this game is amazing. This is a semi-let's play show-off. So why not? You're going to use the flashlight to see better. There it is, some glass. Now, another thing you're noticing is we look like a bullet target, and that is because there's actually a note in there that explains this. I think it's in here, one of these. It's in... where is it? I don't recall where. Look at my lore, because I know it's in here somewhere. Because there's actually one of those notes that does explain this. I'm going to look for it and tell you. Because a lot of people are a little bamboozled about why you look like a target. Where is the... no, that's not it. Where was it? I'm looking. I can't find it. I'm looking at all of them. You get a lot of them. Oh, there it is. This is the one, the silhouettes one.
After World War II, a military study concluded that only a quarter of American soldiers were willing to line up their sights on a human target. Now, to combat this problem, the Army found ways to dampen our natural aversion to killing one another. They replaced bullseye targets with human silhouettes, made training conditions more similar to actual combat, and trained recruits to avoid taking personal responsibility for killing. You know, after enough training, you can eventually learn to stop seeing people at all and just see silhouette targets everywhere, even in the mirror.
But yeah, that's why that is a thing. But another thing to note is glass. Running into it, it doesn't break, but you can shoot at it, and it will crack. Again and again. Why don't we actually try out the full auto mode? And yeah, glass actually is physics. It's really cool. Also, glass can fall on you, which hurts you. So be careful of that. So the game does warn you about falling glass. Also, the game also explains in the lore that the glass isn't made equal. They have varying degrees of strength. Some glass might break without needing to be shattered, while most will. But there's a case where some will not, simply because the sturdiness of glass is quite random across the field. See, most of it isn't. I'm trying to run into glass, but none of it's breaking. Also, another thing you can do is if you don't like tapping W, you can also change it to a holdable sprint key, which will let you hold shift, left shift to run. Like a traditional shooter, you can just hold left shift to run instead of tapping W repeatedly. I like it a lot more, because even though I like the mechanic of tapping W repeatedly to make the situation feel more tense, I like the idea of being able just to hold the button and move. Especially, I also don't like the mechanic because the fact is, when you're trying to do like small movements with the W, you'll like run a little bit and that can cause you to fall, which has happened to me before. Like this. See? Speaking of which, you fall off a building, it also counts as a death. And I get demoted as per usual. But yeah, it just tells you to fall off a building if you did. But that's that. That's pretty much mostly everything I could show. What more is there to show here? I should also denote the differences between ceiling turrets and ground turrets is that ceiling turrets, they're on the ceiling and have the same mechanisms, but they have a slower fire rate because they can't store a high amount of ammunition, whereas the ground turrets do. But if you want my opinion on how to disable turrets, if you just want my opinion on disabling any of these things, hit them in the light sensor. It is the most ideal way to make sure they stay down. You will have to go up and hack them to make sure they don't make any more noise, but that'll pretty much take them out of commission for them with little to no fault practically guaranteed they'll take them out of condition. Even the drones are going to be out of condition. You can even knock turrets down if you shoot them enough, and they'll fall down and suffer from gravity. But that's the real... But that's probably about it. English, man. I'm struggling so badly. That's probably all I could really want to show you. I want to show this game because it has a lot of intricate, detailed mechanics that really are more than just its predecessor. It's like basically the mechanic of this 7-day jam game fully fleshed out. It is impressive, and it's one of the reasons why I really like Wolfire. It's a really good game. They make really good games, really good dev team. I even do know about the game Overgrowth, and fun fact, if you're not knowledgeable, if you buy Overgrowth, you do get Receiver 1 for free. I got Receiver 1 separately, so I did pay money for it, but hey, I like the game nonetheless. I'm not complaining. Let me just show you what this is about. If you shoot the bullet box, I'm going to show that mechanic out right now. Even though I shot the bullet box, it can still have a bullet in the chamber, as I said before. So that's why it's not 100% reliable to shoot the box. That's why I always recommend the light or the battery if you can do it. The battery is the black box at the base, but yeah. That's all I can really show you on how to take those things out. I think that's it, pretty much. There's not much more to this game than that. Oh, and we're back where we started. How quaint. Let's do one final shot for good measure. Oh my god, wow. That is a rare sight. A full proper cylinder. Wow, you get to see quite a rare sight in that one. Like, basically, usually 1 or 2 of the cylinders are welded off. 1 if you're just... is the usual. 2 if you're just unlucky, which has happened to me once before. And... oh, I'm struggling with this. I'm going to pull the fan back a bit so I have a better chance of firing this. But all the cylinders accessible? That is a rare sight. You don't get access to all of them, usually. It's usually one of them is always locked off. That's nice. Also, it mimics real handgun poses. It does this cool little handgun pose. Of course, you can't see it without the hands because, yeah, but with the hands it looks a lot... it actually makes a lot more sense. But it's to mimic the way you hold a flashlight. Like, basically, the arm and hand are behind your wrist and holding the flashlight with the gun to act as a stabling bar. Basically, you're using your wrist as a stabling bar and a means to hold the flashlight. It's a little hard to explain because there's no real visual to help you see that. It's just more or less they did do the research on gun mechanisms before they made Receiver 1. As a result, they did a lot of cool, unique things with it. What is this about?
After World War II, a military study concluded that only
wow, it's the tape I shown. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I just wanted to show the game off because Wolfire do a great job, and I really did like Receiver when it came out, but I felt like it was just really missing something, and this sequel really fixed a lot of the problems with the first. It improved better gun mechanics, the ability of the gun to actually play into the gameplay throughout the entire thing instead of just the beginning being primarily where you're interacting with it. And the fact that Receiver 2 goes under more serious and actually logical term, like serious things. Like, it's much more serious in tone and much more serious with its philosophy. And actually shows that this place has a much deeper lore than what the first was trying to demonstrate. Like, the first was just more of a proof of concept. The second one just nails it perfectly with every like turn. There's just design improvements. So, in my opinion, Receiver 2 is a really good sequel to a game that just spawned because of a really good game jam. It's basically a concept fully realized. And to that I say, Wolfire, you are one amazing dev team. And with that, I'll be leaving. Nattie out.